So now we are going to talk about how coffee made its way to Europe. We start with Peter van de Broek, who was a trader for the Dutch East India Company. Peter was one of the first Dutch people to ever taste coffee, and he really liked it. Unfortunately for him, coffee had to be imported from the Middle East and it was getting expensive. Peter went on a trip to Yemen, which had a monopoly on coffee beans, and he had an eye on the coffee plants. Now, I suppose he could have asked nicely, but it probably would have gone like this: Peter, can I get some coffee plants? Yemen, no. Peter was having none of this, so he stole a few coffee plants and put it onto his ship. Then he sailed to the island of Java, which was controlled by the Dutch at the time, and started a plantation there. That's why Mocha in Java referred to coffee. So now, the Dutch could sell coffee to the rest of Europe. Later, the Dutch would give a coffee plant to King Louis XIV, who was the King of France at the time. The coffee plant was well cared for in the royal gardens, and King Louis XIV was able to enjoy fresh coffee with sugar, which was a tradition that he'd started. But it wasn't yet widely available to the common people. Enter Gabriel Declue, who, like Pieter's, steal it and put it onto a ship strategy. Declue stole some cuttings from the royal gardens and put it on a ship to Martinique. According to legend, they almost ran out of fresh water for the sailors along the trip, but Declue spared some water for the coffee plant. So now that we know how coffee spread to Europe, we're going to take a look at how it affected culture, specifically how coffee sparked revolutions. According to Michael Pollan in This Is Your Mind on Plants, the changes wrought by coffee and tea occurred at a more fundamental level, at the level of the human mind. Coffee and tea ushered in a shift in mental weather, sharpening minds that had been fogged by alcohol, freeing people from the natural rhythms of the body and sun, thus making possible whole new kinds of work and arguably new kinds of thought too. This shift in mental weather and new kinds of thought led to the Enlightenment, where people thought about new ways of government. For example, at the Café de Foix, the French Revolution started when a crowd gathered and decided to storm the Bastille. King Charles II was concerned that a similar revolution might occur in English coffee houses. He tried to close down the coffee shops, a decision so unpopular it was reversed before it even came into effect. So English coffee houses became known as penny universities because for the price of a cup of coffee, men from all levels of society could come together to discuss a variety of subjects. So Lloyd's Coffee House became Lloyd's of London, the Grecian Coffee House became the Royal Society, and Jonathan's Coffee House became the London Stock Exchange. In America, coffee's popularity greatly increased after the Boston Tea Party due to tea's association with Britain. Coffee may also have played a small role in the Union's victory during the Civil War. While Confederate soldiers did not have access to coffee due to a blockade, Union soldiers each received 36 pounds of coffee. This energized the soldiers and also boosted morale. So coffee has played a role in the French Revolution, the Enlightenment, the Boston Tea Party, and the American Civil War. Coffee brings freedom wherever it goes, right? Well, not quite. Coffee farming has unfortunately led to slavery and exploitation, which are the exact opposite of freedom. Next up, we'll be looking at coffee farming.